Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome, guys, to this session. Let me know in the comments if the sound's working. So, as you can tell from my voice, I haven't been very well, so my voice isn't sounding properly. So, today, inshallah, I'm gonna try to do it as long as possible. So if I do get tired, or if my throat does give up on me, then I'll have to stop the session. But inshallah, I'm gonna try to answer as many questions as I can. So I had I don't know, from Sunday. Well, Sunday I had a talk, and Monday, it just knocked out, just took over me, and fever, and then coughing, and then I don't know if you guys have any of you guys come down with illness as well, because that's what basically happened to me. So it was just every time I used to think that I've gone over it, all of a sudden again knocked out, fever, couldn't sleep, so I wasn't able to make many videos as well, so hardly any videos. And reflections the reflections Surah Room, I think that was the thing that really stopped me. So anyway, hopefully inshallah I'll try to do it some other time, reflections Surah Room. Maybe continue it in the coming weeks. I don't know, maybe once a week or something, or once every couple of weeks. Right, so can you guys hear? Is the sound working? Just let me know, inshallah, in the side if it's audible. Okay, so wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Zumana Kaita, mashallah. Your first name is like my second name. Ameen, jazakallah khair, brother. Where are you from? Okay, so as usual, guys, I'm gonna answer the questions in the Curious Cat first. So you guys know the Curious Cat, don't you? So I'll just put it in here just in case people are asking and they don't know. So I'll be answering Curious Cat.me /2. Welcome, brother from Ivory Coast, mashallah. Welcome. Hussam Medani, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, so I think we should start then with the questions. Let's see. So some of these questions I saw in the week, I had a glimpse of them, and I think a lot of them are like repeats. So I'm just thinking, instead of repeat answering a lot of these, I'm just thinking, shall I just okay. Okay, so I think it's from here. Okay, so okay, I think it's from here. I've been following your videos about learning how to read the Quran. Honestly, best resource I have come across. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, brother. Jazakallah. Share it with other people, inshallah. Share it with as many people as you can, inshallah. So the benefit, we all get the reward and benefit, inshallah. Okay, so these are the questions now. So, Assalamu alaikum. Some people attend a 3-day dua. It's when people gather within the first 3 days of someone passing away. Some people even stay in the mosque for 3 days straight. I was confused as to whether this practice is permissible or not. My understanding is that you can pay your condolence in presence, condolence in person, and make dua privately too. Thank you for your time. Jazakallah khair. Okay, so so basically, the questioner here is asking common practice that we see in many communities where someone passes away. They gather in someone's house or in a mosque or in a center for 3 days. They mourn. What's the status of this? So in Islam, basically, when a person passes away, there are some, you can say, some rights over that person, like janaza and washing their body. Besides that, there's some etiquettes, right? Some mannerisms that we should try and adopt as well, and this is to do with kind of living with the community, gelling with them. And one of those is that to bereave those who passed away. So let's say, for example, a guy passes away, so we visit the person's house, the family's house, or we go to the mosque or wherever, and we give them our condolences. So this is actually something which is from the Prophet ﷺ's practice, and he actually said that we should condolence for 3 days, and this is something that Sahaba did and many others. And it's not necessary to observe it 3 days. You don't have to observe it 3 days, but up to 3 days is something which is recommended. And you don't have to do it in a mosque. You don't have to do it anywhere. You could even go in person whenever you want. But this is to keep order. So we have to remember, when a person passes away, every community is going to face some sort of a death. So there has to be things in place so that we can comfort the family, right? So this is a very good mechanism that the Sharia has put in place, kind of mechanism to support the family. Yeah, so it is something which was from the practice of the early people. Okay, is Umrah Badal a thing? I know of Hajj Badal, but not sure about Umrah Badal. So, I mean, Hajj Badal, for those who don't know, is basically where a person, Hajj has become fard on them and they can't do it, right? So what they do is, because of old age or medical reasons, they can't go. Like, it's not going to be possible. So what they do is they ask someone else to go for them and they pay all the expenses. This is called Hajj Badal. So Hajj Badal is something which is valid. As for Hajj Umrah Badal, it's not really an Umrah Badal. If a person does do it, it's just going to be considered to be doing something as a reward for them. Yeah, like for example, maybe you ask someone, can you read some Quran, send the reward to me, or can you fast and send the reward to me? So this would fall under the question that I answered previously, which was regarding sending the rewards of actions to people who are, whether they're alive or they passed away. And this is, according to Hanafis and according to Hanbalis, this would be permissible in all these acts. Yeah, so Umrah Badal, it wouldn't really be considered Umrah. It's just something which people, I think, maybe popularized, because Umrah can never be fard, according to Hanafis. Okay. Unless, I mean, the only thing I'm thinking is unless it's like a Hajj tamattu. If it's a Hajj tamattu or if it's a Hajj qiran, which is three types of Hajj. One Hajj is where you simply go to Mecca and on the 8th of the Hijjah you start the rituals of Hajj. Right. And there's another two which are called tamattu and qiran, which is basically you perform before the Hajj, like a day or two before the Hajj or whenever, you perform an Umrah and then you stay in Mecca and then you perform the Hajj. So you're combining between an Umrah and a Hajj. Now if a person considers that to be the Umrah Badal, then maybe, yeah, that's possible. Okay, what is Badgumani? Badgumani is a Urdu word. Badgumani, Bad means bad, Guman means like have assumptions. So having bad assumptions about someone is basically when you think negatively about them regarding something that they're doing. So for example, like you see someone walking down the road and your mind thinks that they've come from a pub or they've come from a casino or that they've been with, in a haram place. So your mind, without having any evidence, your mind is thinking the negative. That's bad assumptions. Yeah, so we shouldn't have bad assumptions about other Muslims. We should keep our assumptions clean. What is your favorite ice cream flavor? So again, this kind of question, it's not really a thick question. So these kind of questions, I don't think I really answer these kind of. But like I told you guys, it all depends on what you're going to eat with the ice cream, what time of day it is, yeah, what kind of thing it is. So it all depends. But I think these kind of questions, there's no point answering these because otherwise I won't be able to answer the rest of the. Regarding not delaying Isha after midnight, is it meant before 12 a.m. or is it meant before half the night passes, depending on the season? Yeah, half the night passes. So basically you split from Maghrib all the way till Fajr. Yeah, you split the night into two. Right, so let's say Maghrib is at 6 o'clock and let's say Fajr is at 4 o'clock. So you split that into two. So if you split that into two, it works out to be roughly about 11:30, something like that. Yeah, I don't know, what is it, 11:30? So it's half night. They call it half night, nisful layl. Should ladies not leave the house after 12 a.m.? I mean, should men not leave the house at 12 a.m.? It all depends. I mean, depending on what area you're living in. If it's a safe area where anyone can leave, then anyone can leave at 12 a.m. If it's a dangerous area you're living in, I think after 12 a.m., I wouldn't be keen on letting anyone at the house after 12 a.m. Yeah, so I don't know why ladies can't leave at 12 a.m. Can deceptive colors for contact lenses be worn? You are desi, but go for the blue eyes look. Okay, so basically, can you wear contact lenses with different eye colors? Yes, you can. Yeah, I mean, it's the same as something like having hair color of different colors. It's totally fine. The only thing is that the scholars say when a person is going to go for a marriage proposal, they should not try to deceive the the prospect or the suitor with these kind of things. So, for example, if you're going to see a bride, or if you're going to see a potential bride, potential groom, and their eyes look blue or their eyes look green, and you think they really have blue eyes and green eyes, and then you find out later on they were contact lenses, then see, this is where it falls in deception. Otherwise, for average person, it's not deception. Can you say the phrase "Uqsimu billahi al-azim"? Yeah, you can say that. Or are you asking me? Can I say it? Uqsimu billahi al-azim. Uqsimu billahi al-azim simply means I swear by Allah the Almighty, or the Great. It's like saying, yeah, English. Is it forbidden to call people, i.e., Sattar Bhai, Samad Bhai, etc., and omit the Abdul from their name? Is it forbidden to call people Abdul and omit the Rahman? Yeah, I mean, this is a. See, these kind of names, very, very kind of difficult to kind of deal with these names when it comes to non-Arabs. Arabs, I understand. Arabs shouldn't make these kind of mistakes. They shouldn't contract names. Yeah. So contractions of names. For example, if your name is Abdul Rahman, Abdul Rahim, yeah, these kind of things. Arabs shouldn't do it because they know the how the name is pronounced and they know the meanings of non-Arabs, I think there's more scope for it. But still, when it comes to names of Allah, people should try to avoid these kind of things. Yeah, I know it's difficult sometimes. You can't avoid it, especially when it comes to living in non-Muslim countries. Pronunciation of many of the Arab names is hard. So yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say it's forbidden. The ones that are forbidden to call yourself by are like Allah and Rahman. Those are absolutely forbidden, like scholars have said. The other ones, because Sattar and Samad, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, so these kind of names is best to avoid. But if it does become, like, for example, let's say some guy's name is Abdul Majid and people call him Majid. So because the word Majid is a name that has a meaning in Arabic and it's something that can be used for a person, then it's fine. So it's like those names which are only unique for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Allah and Rahman are only unique for Allah. The other ones are kind of possibly descriptive words for humans as well. Can you explain what is meant to be forbidden to travel? Can you explain what is meant to be forbidden to travel to any other mosque, specifically apart from Aqsa al-Haram and Nabawi, refers to hadith from Bukhari? Okay, so basically someone's asking, there's a hadith, famous hadith, you guys might have heard of it, which basically says, can you guys hear? Sound working? See if the sound's working with you guys. Yeah, can you guys hear? Just in case I'm going on and you guys can't hear me. Okay, I don't know, you guys aren't responding, so I hope you guys can hear. Yeah, you can? Okay. Alright, so basically there's a hadith which says, the Prophet ﷺ says, no one should make a journey except to 3 mosques. Masjid al-Haram, Mecca, Masjid al-Nabawi and Masjid al-Aqsa. So what does this hadith mean? Majority of the scholars have taken the meaning of this hadith to mean that no one should travel to any mosque in the world with the intention that there's more reward in praying in that particular mosque than in any other mosque in the world except 3 mosques. So let's say, for example, a person goes to Mecca, then we know that the rewards of praying in Mecca are multiplied thousands and generations, 100,000. We know a person who prays in Masjid Nabawi, the reward of him praying in Masjid Nabawi is also multiplied. And we know the reward of a person praying in Masjid Aqsa is also rewarded. So these are 3 mosques where there's a specific like percentage of reward that you get if you pray there. There's no other mosque in the entire world that this reward is reserved for. So if a person now thinks, if I go to this mosque in, let's say, India, or if I go to this mosque in Africa, if I go to this mosque in Egypt, or if I go to the mosque in Europe, and I pray there, I'm going to get more reward than praying in my local mosque, then that's incorrect, that is. Yeah, that's what the Prophet ﷺ was telling people. Like, the Sharia has only given a specific reward for 3 mosques in the world. No other mosque has like specific reward attached to it. Some have said they've added Masjid Quba to it as well, and said in another hadith the Prophet ﷺ added Masjid Quba and so forth. But the point of the hadith is that, you know, you can't invent your own reward, right? So, you know, you're not allowed to say this mosque has this much reward, this much mosque, because some sheikh prayed in there, or, you know, a particular, you know, leader or something had built it. Yeah, it's like that. Okay, can you sell something as sold as seen and not categorically list the defects? Yes, you can. Yeah, this is called al-bara'a min kulli aib. According to Hanafis, it's allowed. Shafis, they don't permit it, I think. I'm not too sure about Shafis. Hanafis allow it. So basically, you can sell something and you can say to the person, look, I'm selling it as seen, right? In other words, however you receive it, that's how it is, right? So even if you find a defect in it later on, you can't get your money back. You don't get a refund. Yeah, so this is permissible. Where does the sky to heart head movement when saying La ilaha illa in zikr majrur from? I have no idea. The sky to heart head movement. I mean, these kind of things, when it comes to dhikr, adhkar, I don't know too much about these kind of things. I am not I haven't pledged any allegiance to any tariqah. I don't follow any particular tariqah in tasawwuf or anything like that. And I know there's many people out there who do certain types of dhikr and certain movements. I personally don't adhere to that. I'm not going to say I'm against it, but personally I don't adhere to these types of movements. So I don't really know where this movement of, I know what you're talking about. They raise their head and say La ilaha illallah. They move their heads. I don't know where it originates from. Best to ask someone who's into this field. Okay, a person, okay, all right, once said that true yaqeen is, for example, switching your car phone and leaving it in the middle of the road, and if Allah wills, He will take you to your destination. Allah. Oh, so let me read this again. True yaqeen, so true certainty, is, for example, switching your car off and leaving it in the middle of the road, and if Allah wills, He will take you to your destination. Is that, I said, that isn't possible. Is this stupidity or is this logical from that person? Okay, so basically, I understand what you're saying. So, see what happens is, this is another example of, like I mentioned this to you guys. General public, a lot of them will not read the Quran to understand what's in the Quran. So they won't study the meaning of the Quran. Number two, they won't study Islam from an expert in a structured way. And number three, they get their information about Islam from talks, bayans here and there, and from social media posts and articles. This is a very dangerous way of creating your own version of Islam, because then what happens is, you'll hear a hadith, and then, or the ayah of the Quran, and then you'll take it out of its context. You won't look at it holistically, and then you'll act upon it in a way that you think this is the correct application of it, and it most likely won't be. So, for instance, like you have hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that if you were to have yaqeen in Allah, if you had reliance on Allah as it should be, then you would have been like the bird who goes out in the morning empty stomach and comes back filled stomach. Now you see, the whole concept of tawakkul and these kind of things like yaqeen, tawakkul, sabr, these require a full discussion, a full detailed investigation, exploration. How does the Sharia understand this? How can it be applied? And a lot of people, they misunderstand this because they hear scholars maybe quoting this in their talks. They think that the scholar is quoting this, that this is the state of our iman should be. We should always have full certitude in Allah, and Allah will give us whatever happens. And this has never been the perpetual state of the Sahaba, nor has it ever been the perpetual state of Tabi'in, and until today. And we know this clearly because, look, tawakkul, it actually means reliance. However, the Islamic the application of this is when a person tries his best and then relies. That's what tawakkul is. You try your best. So even the hadith is saying this, that the bird goes out. You have to do your thing. And then rely on Allah. So for example, like when it comes to, you want to go to, let's say from Birmingham, you want to go to I don't know, Manchester. So you have to intend to go on a journey. You have to sit in the car. You have to start the engine. You have to put your foot on the accelerator. You have to move. You have to know where you're going. It's it's not tawakkul if you're doing that. Yeah. And this was something that Allah told off some people who came to the Prophet ﷺ from Yemen. They came for Hajj, and they said, we're going to rely on Allah, we're not going to take any provisions with us, and we're just going to go there and we're going to do it, and Allah is going to feed us. So what happened basically was they went there, but they became such a burden on everyone. That whole big group of people had to be fed by others, and it became a burden. So Allah revealed in the Quran, وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. Yeah, tazawwud, meaning that have zad, have provision, take provisions with you, because the best provision is taqwa, meaning provisions is what you have to do. Yeah. Wa alaikum assalam. I'm feeling better, alhamdulillah, thank you very much. Yes, trust Allah whilst tying your camel. Exactly, that's it. So you see what happens. I know there are certain mindsets and groups of people who start practicing, and it's around the world. UK, you get this as well. And what happens is when you go from one extreme to another, what happens is your understanding of these concepts of tawakkul and sabr and these kind of things have a totally different application than what the Sahaba used to do, because they only listen to a few incidents of Sahaba. Like if there's a Sahabi who's lived his entire life, and you only hear 3 or 4 incidents of his life, like the amazing parts of his life, and then you think you have to act upon that, you have to live your life according to those 3 or 4 amazing incidents, and you don't look at everything else that he went through or she went through, then you're not doing justice. You're not doing justice to the deen. You're actually going to be harming other people. And I've seen it many times where people, in the name of trusting Allah, have gone for certain Islamic sort of like retreats or Islamic, you can say, events, left their families at home, not provided for their families, and said, we're going to trust in Allah. Or their parents were ill and they didn't take care of their parents, and they said, we're going to trust in Allah. And what happens is basically it's injustice. You're ignoring, you're taking this like 1% of your understanding, and the other 99% of what the Sharia is saying, you're ignoring it. So this is unfortunately this is stupidity. Yeah, stupidity. And this is why Imam Ghazali, he wrote a book Ihya Ulumuddin to bring a balance in this. Yeah, to bring a balance, and he mentions very, very good like anecdotes and very good logical explanations for how we should understand these concepts of shukr and sabr. That's why I said to you in the beginning, this requires a full sort of like in-depth discussion, and it might be a good idea. I mean, I don't really have time now, but it might be a good idea in the future for me to do like a series on this idea of tawakkul and a whole like kind of case studies of it, and how unfortunately it's been misused today, and how the Quran and how the life of the Prophet ﷺ show its proper application. There's actually a good book. It's called Nadratun Na'im. So quite voluminous. I think it's about between 15 to 20 volumes, and it was a good book that I would recommend to students to read if they were preparing like a talk, or maybe like an article on something, and they had to write about shukr or sabr. And it has like this order where first of all it collects all the ayats associated to that topic, then it collects all the hadith, and then it collects all the sayings of Sahaba, and like that kind of like one of those kind of books. But yeah, I mean that's the sad thing, unfortunately, and a lot of people are in this kind of confused mentality about these concepts in Islam. Okay. One of the greatest like example the scholars give of how the Prophet ﷺ understood tawakkul properly was the Prophet ﷺ in the battle of Khandaq. He wore 2 armors, so 2 sets of armor. Like normally he had 1 set of armor when he used to go for battle, but this time he wore 2. Now imagine if the Prophet ﷺ had tawakkul in Allah at the highest level, wearing 2 sets of armor was part of tawakkul. Yeah, that was part of tawakkul. And this warped mentality of tawakkul, which is no trust in Allah. If Allah's going to give you death, whether you're wearing armor or not wearing armor, you're going to die. If this mentality was taken and not the Prophet ﷺ's practiced tawakkul and taught tawakkul that he taught, then look at the difference. Okay, those Deobandi ulama who are very strict about the minimum 1 fist beard mentioned that Rasulullah ﷺ once turned his face away from those who shaved. Is this a valid argument? I don't know, I never come across this narration. I mean, if you can show me where this narration is. Yeah, I haven't come across it. Okay, your Arab guy speaking English impersonation is the best. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Which one's that? I've actually forgotten that now. I think, see, I've been ill for 1 week. I'm starting to forget things now. Old age, almost 40. Okay, should a living scholar be given the title Sheikh al-Islam? I mean, in a metaphorical way, possibly. Metaphorical, like, metaphorically speaking, figuratively speaking, this guy, compared to everyone else, he's a Sheikh of Islam. Yeah, like, he's like someone who's very knowledgeable about Islam. But if you take it in the, like, linguistic meaning that this guy is the Sheikh of Islam, like, he is the ultimate Sheikh of Islam, and that's not true. Yeah, it's not true. But I think most people, they use it. I think most people use it in the sense like like metaphorically when they say Shaykh al-Islam. A lot of people use it for like Mufti Taqi Usmani. They say he's Shaykh al-Islam, and people use it for Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah, that he's Shaykh al-Islam. It's all metaphorical. Like Shaykh Mufti Taqi Usmani doesn't know everything about Islam. He knows a lot, yeah, but he still doesn't know everything. And he's a human being. Human beings, only the Prophet ﷺ knows everything about Islam. Okay, if a wife refuses to let her husband okay, I think this is a private message. Okay, I'll try to answer this one separately. Is it wrong to shorten Muhammad to Mo? Okay, so again, this is another contraction, words of contraction. So according to Arabic, you're allowed to constrict names. So for example, like Muhammad, right? Or like, let's say the word Fatima, or Zubair, or Khalid, right? So the Arabs, they have this concept called tarkhim, which is basically like this. Instead of saying Fatima, you say Fatim, or Fati, yeah, or Fa, Malik, Mali, Ma. Yeah, and there's some rules regarding how much you can like take off, and according to the rules of grammar. But shortening names has always been something humans do. Humans have always shortened names. Yeah, this is even the time of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ, he used to shorten the names of his wives sometimes. Yeah, Aish. Yeah, shorten them. So technically, shortening a name like Muhammad would be allowed, like Mo. But it's that question of, is it considered to be disrespectful? Yeah. So some people would consider it to be disrespectful, as in they wouldn't like the Prophet ﷺ name to be shortened to Mo. Others may not have an issue with it because it might be something which is part of their culture. Yeah, so culturally, it might be part of the culture to shorten names. Yeah, to like make them more cuter. So sometimes someone might have a kid, and you know what happens when you have little kids? You have a name for them, and then all of a sudden that name becomes something cute. So you might have a kid called Fatima, and then they might start calling the kid like Fatim, Fati, Fifi. Yeah, I don't know. So some people do these kind of things with kids' names. So it's not, you can't say it's like a wrong, it's not sinful. But it would fall under the issue of respect, disrespect, depending on whether the culture sees it as that. Can the shaitan resemble anyone apart from the Prophet in dreams? So according to the scholars, what they say is that he can resemble anyone apart from the Prophet ﷺ. Yeah, because the Prophet ﷺ said that if when you see me in my dream, you've definitely seen me. من رآني في المنام فإنه رآني فإن الشيطان لا يتمثل بي. He does not take my resemblance. Right, so that's correct. Okay, salam. I am currently putting money into an account for my children's future. It's their money and will be given to them when they are mature enough. The account is in my name as my children are too small to have an account. Does zakat need to be paid on this? So as long as they're under the age of puberty, no, you don't have to give zakat on that. Once they reach the age of puberty, then 1 year after puberty, then you'd have to start to give zakat on it. Yeah, so yeah. So let's say, for example, the children are 5 and 6. Now, let's say they reach puberty at 12. So from the age of 13, you have to start giving zakat on it. Also, I'm putting towards a workplace pension which can only be accessed from the age of 55 onwards, do I have to pay zakat on this? So it depends what kind of a pension you have. So generally there's two types of pensions. There's a defined contribution scheme pension and there's a defined benefit scheme pension. You don't have to give zakat on any pension at all except for a defined contribution scheme pension, which is basically where you have the power to allocate where the funds are going to be invested. So if they send a letter down your house and they say to you, where would you like your funds invested, and you decide, and you have what they call a project manager or a pension pot manager, then that allocating a manager on your behalf is basically like a kind of wakala agency on your behalf. So therefore you have to give zakat on it. But all other pensions like NHS pensions, government pensions, state pensions, these kind of pensions, there's no zakat on there. Okay, so when you say you're putting money towards it, so it depends what kind of pension it is again. Okay, the question I asked last week was misunderstood, so I'll rephrase it. I was praying Asr alone silently, meaning the takbirs at uni, and someone joined at me after I had already started. Do I now carry on reading the takbirs in salah silently, or do I start reading the takbirs out aloud? Yeah, it's best to do it aloud. Better to do it aloud so they can hear you. Obviously, I mean, you don't have to read it aloud. It's not like compulsory to read it aloud, but yeah, it's because the whole point of reading the takbirs is so the person knows the movements you're making. Yeah, for the movements. Can you explain who the tabi'ina غير أولي الإربة من الرجال are and the hukm of this? Doesn't a man regardless of age have some degree of lust, desire, or does this diminish knowledge? Okay, so in the Quran, I can't remember which surah is in Surah Nur. Yeah, I think it's Surah Nur. Or is it Surah Ahzab, where Allah mentions about the rules of privacy. So in there Allah says that, look, that you have to seek permission before you enter someone's home or someone's abode, give salam, etc., for privacy purposes, right? And Allah is telling the woman as well to cover up as well, and for the man and the woman to lower their gazes. So one of the verses says I think awit tabi'ina, what's the verse? I have to find the verse now. Let me just find the verse. I'm not Hafiz, guys. Wa alaikum assalam, Bahruddin, mashallah. Wa alaikum assalam, Sister Amina. Is it okay to ask a dream? Yes, you can ask a dream question. So some of us who know Bilal family, mashallah. Wa alaikum assalam. Some of us who know Mufti Liaqat at times want to refer to him as Shaykh al-Islam. Allahu Akbar. Chalo, I have a rate, but you can call me that. Okay, so the verse is, let's read this verse. قل للمؤمنات يغضضن من أبصارهن, tell the believing women to lower their gazes, ويحفظن فروجهن, and to protect their private parts, ولا يبدين زينتهن, and that they do not disclose their ornaments, beauty, إلا ما ظهر من, except for that which is apparent, وليضربن بخمرهن, and let them put their scarves around their chests, ولا يبدين زينتهن, and they should not show their zina, their beauty, except to their husbands or their fathers or their husbands' fathers or their sons or their husbands' sons or their brothers or their nephews, or nisa or nisaihinna, or their women, or whatever they own, or the tabi'in غير أولي الإربة من الرجال أو الطفل الذين, and those people who are successors, غير أولي الإربة, who have no desire, من الرجال, from the men, أو الطفل الذين لم يظهروا على عورات النساء, and those children who have not developed the ideas regarding the women's private parts. So this basically this ayah mentions several kind of people who you can't or you can show in front of, and one of them is the family members, obviously close family members, and then you can say the extended in-laws, and then the children, and then these tabi'ina, those who are like, you can say tabi'a, it means those who are secondary, who have no desire. So in other words, those men who have no sexual desire at all, these are the ones being mentioned here. And this is something which, scholars say that first of all it applies to people like elderly, very elderly people who have reached an age where they have no sexual lust or desire for women. And the Prophet in his time, he would actually allow certain people, like for example, there was a guy called Hate, and the Prophet used to allow him to enter his house of his wives, and he would sit with them. And what happened was, and based on this, and then what happened was one day he was sitting with them, and this was like in the 8th year, roughly about 7th, 8th year, and when they were Fatih Makkah, he said when you go to Taif and you go to those places, he said that you're gonna find a woman there, and this woman's so fat that when you look at her from the front, you see 4 things popping out to you, and when you look at her from the back, you can see 8 things. So when the Prophet heard this, he didn't like it, because he realized this man is describing parts of the body, which are normally, like the breasts and things like that, thighs, which a person who doesn't have lust, a person who's, has no desire for the opposite, doesn't really mention these kind of things. So the Prophet, he stopped him from sitting with his wives. He banned him. So this would be, yes. So doesn't a man, regardless of age, still have some degree? Not necessarily. I mean, it depends. Some people may lose all their desire. Some people, who have, who are, what do you call them? Are they called Enochs? Yeah, what are they called? They're castrated people, right? So you get these kind of individuals who actually have no desire. They've removed that, and this is what some Sahaba were asking the Prophet ﷺ, can they, because they don't want to have sexual desire, they don't want to fall into fornication, can they be castrated and lose all their desire? The Prophet ﷺ prohibited it. Does Islam say anything about moons for other planets? I mean, see, the thing about Islam is not like a scientific sort of like textbook. It doesn't tell you, like, the thing is, you have to read the Quran to understand what the Quran's nature is. A lot of people, when they ask me questions, I know the simple answer to this would be just read the Quran. Read the Quran. I guarantee you, make it your New Year's resolution that I'm going to read the Quran, get a good translation. A good one is like something like Dr. Abdul Halim's translation of the Quran, or Dr. Ahmad Zaki's Gracious Quran, or Mufti Taqi Usmani's Holy Quran. Get one of those, go through it, and by the end of this year, finish it, and you will understand what the Quran is about. So no, the Quran doesn't mention anything about there being specific moons. The Quran does mention celestial objects, but the Quran doesn't have to mention all these kind of issues. Okay, is CBD hemp oil, the new craze, permissible? Yeah, as long as it doesn't contain the hallucinogenic chemical THC. As long as it doesn't have the THC in there, that's what makes you hallucinate. So they remove that. So I take it. I've actually got some, and it doesn't give you any hallucinogenic effects. So it's fine to take. Actually, it's good for phlegm. It's good for arthritis. So I generally use it. What's the difference between tawakkul and tawakkul? So I think okay. So in Arabic, tawakkul means to have reliance, and tawakkul is to fake reliance. Like the Arabs use this word tafa'ul to fake something. Like for example, you say Nama tanawama. Right, so to fake sleep. Can sunscreen be used in the state of ihram? Basically the rule is, according to Hanafis, that if you are in ihram, you can use any sort of medication that you need on your body, as long as it doesn't have any like fragrance, not for a fragrance purpose. So as long as that's the case, you can use it. Yeah. So sunscreen, I would get one that doesn't have a fragrance, doesn't have any smell, and you can use that. And you can get loads out there. If someone is walking in front of you in salah, can you pull your arm out kung fu style to block them from walking? According to Hanafis, you can make some sort of indication, you can raise your voice, but you shouldn't make movements. So you shouldn't do kind of like flapping your hands. And for women, you can raise your voice, or she can clap her hands or slap her hand, just to make the person aware. Should musallis give lukma in normal salat, not tarawih, if there is a mistake in recitation? So basically, if you're praying behind the imam and the imam, he recites and he makes a mistake, and then someone from behind wants to correct him, according to Hanafis, if he's read enough ayats that his salat is valid, and the mistake in salat is not a major mistake, then you shouldn't correct him. You're not learned, or not in normal salat in tarawih. I think that's a good idea, I think it's a good idea, because it can become very confusing. Because sometimes, I remember what happened once, we were praying salat and the imam was reciting, and some guy was trying to correct him, and the guy was wrong, and it confused everyone. So some people, they think they know how to correct people, but sometimes they don't know. Yeah, and they quote the wrong thing. So I think it's best just to have specific people appointed to correct the imam. Some state that apart from Quba, it is a bid'ah to read Nafal Salah at a masjid people visit for ziyarah in Saudi. Qiblatain is correct. No, it's not correct. Yeah, praying Nafal in any masjid is allowed. It's fine. And we know the hadith, the Prophet said, if you enter a masjid, then you should pray 2 rakats. Okay. You said that when there is a lack of time and next time inshallah is very close, certain things can be omitted from 3rd or 4th rakat. Can you go through what these? Yeah, so you can omit from the 3rd and 4th rakat Fatiha and Surah. You don't have to recite, basically, in Fard. So in Fard, you don't have to recite Fatiha, you don't have to recite Surah, according to Hanafis, in your Dhuhr Fard, in your Asr Fard, and in your Isha Fard. And the Maghrib last rakat. This is in the last 2 rakats here. First 2, you have to read Fatiha and you must read Surah. There's nothing else that you can omit. You see, the thing is, in your salat, like the adhkar that you do in ruku and sujood, Subhan Rabbiyal Azim, Subhan Rabbiyal A'la, if you're in a very, very short time, you don't have to read those. As long as you stay in ruku for enough time and sujood enough time, that's what you need. But this is in answering your question, which is if there's not enough time. Like this time is so short, for example, Fajr time, the sun's going to rise, or whatever. Can titles be put on gravestones? Easy Maulana. Yeah, you can. You can have that. Is the only way for Hanafi to do Iqama the longer version, or can they shorter version if they wish? They can do the shorter version. It's Awla Khilaf Awla. Yeah. So Sheikh Shabir Ahmad Uthmani in his commentary on Sahih Muslim, Fath al-Mulhim, he says this. It's Awla Khilaf Awla. It's like the Maliki way of doing Adhan, the Shafi way. They're all fine. They're all been practiced by, like, the Maliki Adhan is from the Medina Adhan. The Shafi Adhan is attributed to Ibn Umar Adhan. Makkah Adhan. There's the Kufa Adhan. The Hanafis have the Basra Adhan. Okay. On Twitter, there are often jokes about Pakistanis themselves saying that Pakistanis have big noses. Is this true? I don't know. Go and Google it. Check it out. At what age should a child start using the toilet themselves and doing istinja alone, especially for number 2? I think this is all... You don't have to ask Islam this. I think this is something which common sense... These kind of questions, I think common sense would tell us what the person needs to do. Common sense, whatever age the child needs. Parents usually know when the child needs to start. being potty trained. Is the azan for the newborn solely for a male to do? No, women can do it as well. Is it okay to use the title Hazrat for females? Yeah, I think it's okay. It's okay. I mean, again, there's nothing Islamic about this. Having titles, not having titles, nothing Islamic about it. It's just all out of respect. You want to call her Madam Maryam, Lady Maryam, Sayyida Maryam, Hazrat Aisha, Lady Aisha, Sayyida Aisha, Mother Aisha. These are all honorific names. You can use anyone you want. Can steroid creams be used in the state of ihram for eczema? Yeah, again, if it's for medical purposes, yeah, there's scope for using it. What's your New Year's resolution? My New Year's resolution, inshallah, is to grow the content on my channel as much as possible, inshallah, so I can get out loads of stuff to you guys. Yeah, inshallah, to do as much as I can this year. Assalamu alaikum. Can you tell us the correct way to pray witr, please? Some people sit down after the second ruku and others don't. So basically, right, I'm gonna have a little break in a bit, yeah, because my throat, I need to make myself some more tea just to keep my throat lubricated. So basically, look, witr, let me tell you something about witr. Witr is a salat which is prayed at the end of the day, yeah, like the last salat you pray. And this salat has been performed by the Prophet ﷺ in his life, and many different Sahaba have reported many different narrations about how to pray. We have no hadith from the Prophet ﷺ to give us an exact detailed description of how we pray the witr. And because of this, there is so much ikhtilaf. In fact, there is, Shaykh Yusuf Banori mentions, there is 16 ikhtilafs in witr. Imagine that. There's 16 different things, different topics in witr that there's an ikhtilaf in amongst the scholars. Things like, is it 3 rakats? Is it 1 rakat? Is it 5 rakats? Is it 7 rakats? Do you recite in all 3 rakats? Do you do qunut in there, the dua of qunut? Do you do the qunut before or after? Is the qunut only in Ramadan or is it outside of Ramadan? There are so many ikhtilafs, 16 ikhtilafs, that this kind of issue is an issue which is some people take it too extreme, yeah, and they make it as though there's only one way to perform the witr, which is incorrect. So this is why when it comes to the Hanafis say that the best way to perform the witr is 3 rakats. You pray 2, you sit down like you would normally do, you do your at-tahiyyat, and then when you finish at-tahiyyat you stand up, read Fatiha, read Surah, and then you do the dua qunut, and then you go into ruku, and then you finish your salat. Yeah, so it's 3 rakats with a sitting in the middle, like Maghrib basically. Hanafi say it's like Maghrib. Yeah. And this description that they've got, they believe this is the best way that the witr should be prayed. That's why they've taken like this. The Shafi'is have 3 other ways. Yeah, one is like this. One is where they pray 2, give salam, stand up, and then they pray 1. And the other one is where they pray 3 all in one go without even sitting down. And the Malikis have their ways, and etc. So there are different ways that this witr salat is prayed. It's not a major issue if one prays one way, one prays another way. This isn't such a harsh, strict issue. Pray your witr, that's the main thing. Okay. Salam Ustad. Would Covonia chest medicine be haram then? Is it not khamar, I believe, made from ethanol, but it has 7.7% alcohol in it? Yeah, so see these kind of cough medicines, I had a cough, yeah. So I had option between Night Nurse, which was 18% alcohol, ethanol, and Covonia, which was about 7%. And I had no other cough medicine and a very bad cough. So I took Covonia, had less ethanol in there. So if you only have that available and you have a cough and it's very bad, then you can take it. But if you have something else available, so the next day I went and I bought something else. It's called Bronco. I don't know if you heard of it. And apparently my dad said this is supposed to be good for his cough. So apparently it worked for him, so I bought that, and it doesn't contain alcohol. So if there is a non-alcoholic version available, then you have to take that. You're not allowed to take the alcohol version. But if the one that contains alcohol or ethanol is the only one available, or it's the best one to cure you, then you can take it. Okay. Can women visit the cemetery? Yes. Can menstruating women visit cemetery? Yes. Can girls children visit cemetery? Yes. Will we be able to play back our life memories in Jannah, i.e. similar to Pensivis, I don't know what that is, in Harry Potter? So I don't know what that is. So so look, this is a general rule for Jannah, yeah. Look, imagine, for example, just for a moment, imagine you are the fetus inside the womb, yeah? Inside your mother's womb, you're a fetus. And I say to you, do you know there's a world where the sun rises in the sky and it brightens the whole world, and then it disappears and there's water, that rivers flow, and you can swim in there, you can drink that water, and inside the water are these animals, creatures that you can catch, and then you can cook them and you can eat them, and they taste lovely. And there's these things that come out the ground, and they have these green, what they call leaves, and then they have these fruit that come out from them, and you can cut them, and you can cut them open and you can eat them. And there's this water that drips from the sky all everywhere, and it cools the place down, and so forth. Now, for a fetus to understand that, it's going to be very, very difficult. The reason is because the fetus is simply exposed to a limited number of factors. There's a limited number of factors that create the perception of the fetus. So what happens is, in Jannah, the same thing applies when we're living in the earth. So when we live in the earth, if I say to you water, you're going to be thinking of water like a river. You're going to be thinking of water like a sea. Yeah. But maybe in Jannah, maybe the world is very, very different. And it will definitely be very, very different. So much so that Ibn Abbas said that only the names are shared. In other words, in Jannah, the only thing that Jannah shares with the dunya, when Allah talks about in Jannah there's going to be a river, or in Jannah there's going to be a tree, only the name is the same, like shajara, tree or river. Nothing else is the same. Even the content is going to be different. Yeah, so this is why when people ask questions about Jannah and they have misconceptions about Jannah, they're comparing everything with what they see in the dunya. And the Quran, when it was revealed, the Quran is obviously going to be saying things which are fathomable to humans, which can be perceived in the human mind. Something which cannot be perceived in the human mind, the Quran is going to mention it according to how it can be perceived. So if the Quran can perceive, for example, like in Jannah, if the Quran can perceive, if a person can perceive, let's say, for example, a tree at least, the Quran will mention there's going to be trees in Jannah. It's not just going to be trees in Jannah. They are going to be things that we can never imagine. The Prophet ﷺ said, no eye has ever seen, no ear has ever heard, no heart has ever contemplated and imagined. So this is why when people say that what's going to happen in Jannah, we don't know. The reality is we don't know what's going to happen in Jannah. We have just been given like a small glimpse. That's all we've been given, a small glimpse. Like if you were to go to like a 7-star hotel in the world, and you were to come back and you were to describe it to your friend, and you said the 7-star hotel is like this, and it's like this, and it's like this, at least your friend can understand the same concepts that will exist in a 7-star hotel and will exist in wherever that person lives. At least they'll understand the same concept of a wall, of a room, of a bed, of flowing water, of hot food, cool drinks, etc. They'll understand that, won't they? In Jannah, you can't even understand that. You don't even understand what the concept of a house is there. Is it going to be 3-dimensional world? Is light going to behave the same over there? Are we going to have a concept of gravity there? Are our bodies going to be moving around like we walk around on the earth over here? How is it going to be? Imagine it like something like, another dimension, like a totally different dimension that scientists talk about, that trying to live in a 4th dimension or the 5th dimension. Yeah, humans can't even perceive this. So these kind of, when we discuss like Jannah goes into the metaphysical, like scholars who study ilm al-kalam, for example, metaphysics, yeah, ilm al-kalam, these kind of sciences. This is where this kind of stuff, like kind of like really plays an important part in trying to understand the dynamics of the hereafter, the eschatology, like they say. What the day, like if you say to someone the day of judgment, I guarantee you they're going to be thinking of like a big playing field, and they're going to be thinking of like grass on the ground, or maybe like just barren ground, and they're going to be thinking of maybe like there's going to be something in the, because their mind is used to seeing something in the sky. There's going to be something up there, they believe, and there's going to be this idea of something holding you down. Yeah, is there going to be gravity there? Is there going to be? So this is why when it comes to these concepts of Jannah isn't something which we can compare to the dunya. It can never ever be compared to the dunya. So going back to this question, will we be able to play back and watch notable events in history of Islam in Jannah? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, possibly, and I would love to see that. Yeah, and in the Quran there's indication towards that. So I mean, there's like verses in the Quran where Allah mentions about conversations that are going to take place in Jahannam and conversations that are going to take place in Jannah, where like for instance, let me just find you one. Yeah, for example, like so like this is in the Quran. Allah says كأنهن فأقبل بعضهم على بعض يتساءلون. So some of the people of Jannah will meet other people of Jannah. We don't know exactly how this meeting is going to occur. يتساءلون, they're going to be discussing things with one another. قال قائل منهم, one of them will say, إني كان لي قرين, I used to have a close friend, قرين. يقول أئنك لمن المصدقين, and this close friend of mine used to say to me, do you believe in all this religion? أئذا متنا وكنا ترابا, that when we die and we become dust in the soil and bones, أئنا لمدينون, are we going to be rewarded after this? قال فهل أنتم مطلعون, and then he says that do you people, can you people see? فاطلع في, in other words, so they're going to have this conversation. All of a sudden they're going to remember this guy who used to not believe in Islam, who used to kind of always reject Islam, and you want to see him. All of a sudden فاطلع فرآه في سواج, and they're going to be able to see into Jahannam. Like maybe it's something which is something which is like a kind of like these kind of sci-fi movies you have, when like just a screen just opens up into the mid-air and they can see anything anywhere. Maybe something like that, and they're going to be able to see. So yeah, why not? I mean, I don't see a problem with that. Okay, next question. What is the correct way of praying, blowing and rubbing the body, i.e. 3 quls? Did the Prophet ﷺ ask Aisha to do this one? Yeah, so there's 2 ways of the ways the narrations are mentioned. So basically, the Prophet ﷺ, in one narration, he used to dry spit 3 times, like this, and then he would say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, and then he would قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, read them 3 surahs, and then he'd wipe it on his entire body wherever his hands could reach. And in another narration it says he would read it 3 times and then he would spit after that, dry spit, and then he would do it. Yeah, so these are 3 reports that I mentioned, 2 reports that I mentioned. And yes, it's reported that Aisha radiallahu anha used to, but Aisha radiallahu anha would get the Prophet's own hand and would touch his own body, and Aisha radiallahu anha would recite. Is everybody's interpretation understood of Fuzul Kharj different? What should you consider when making purchases with Fuzul Kharj in mind? So Fuzul Kharj is basically what we call extravagance, overspending. So this is all subjective. In other words, it depends upon a person's financial capacity. So a person's financial status, whatever that is, that's how you determine Fuzul Kharj. So in other words, you look at the society. If a society sees, like for example, if there's a person who is an average pay, let's say, earning £20,000, let's say, yeah, for him, what would fuzul kharj be? What would it mean for him in a society? What kind of car would you say this person owning would be too much for him? He's overspent. How much on clothing would you say is too much? It's very difficult to say because we live in a society where the amount of salary that people earn fluctuates. I mean, there's going to be people who probably watch this, and some of their salaries are going to be extremely high, and some of the salaries are going to be on the other side of the spectrum. Yeah, so it would totally differ. Someone living in another country, in the UK, their salary might be higher, their salary might be lower. So this is why it's all subjective. What should you consider when making purchases for Fuzul Kharji mind? So what I would say is, look, when you look at someone else, would you think that they're overspending or not? Like you just consider that. So if you look at your neighbor, yeah, what kind of car, when you're buying a car, how much would you think is too much for them to buy? Yeah, so is a £20,000 car too much money for them to spend? Is a 30,000? Is a 50,000? What is too much? Same with clothes as well. Yeah, so you look at them, and try to buy something which is good quality, and it's not going to show off. So in other words, usually people spend a lot because they want to show off in front of other people. Yeah, they want to show other people what they've bought. That is obviously wrong. That's also showing off as well. So usually they come hand in hand. Yeah, overspending and showing off with what you bought, because people are not going to show off with something which is average spending. You usually get this in weddings and things, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm going to have a 5-minute break here, inshallah. I'm going to make some tea for myself so my throat can regenerate, inshallah. So I'll be back in 5 minutes, inshallah. Okay, guys, back. Ya Allah. Okay. My auntie is unwell and has been hospitalized, and I was with her most of the evening. Please remember her in du'as. And it was such a humbling sight seeing so many unwell people in the world, in the ward. May Allah give her shifa. May Allah give shifa to all those who are ill. Yeah, definitely. I mean, these kind of things remind us about how life is short. Health is a very unpredictable thing. Yeah, so one day you could be healthy, next day you could lose a vital part of your body. Okay, so let's continue then with these questions, inshallah. Let's just wait for a few more people to rejoin us, inshallah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, so next question. Many elders who ascribe to Neo-Deobandism, Tanwiism, regard anyone who doesn't as someone who has been... Anyone who doesn't do what? Anyone who doesn't something, I don't know what that is, as someone who has betrayed the legacy of the Akabirin. Anyone who doesn't, maybe it means follow them, I don't know. How do we move forward when things like that was back? Yeah, so I mean, you see with generally what tends to happen is like the Prophet ﷺ, he came with the Sharia, he came with the Quran, he came with the explanation of the Quran. So his practical and his verbal explanation of the Quran was demonstrated in the 23 years of his life. So he prayed, he fasted, he gave zakat, he taught how zakat was given, he did hajj, he did all these things, and this was a practical demonstration of what the Quran means. So now that we have this application of the Quran on the Prophet ﷺ, the application of the Quran was like, you can imagine it like this sort of like a cloud. Yeah, imagine like a cloud, and this cloud is now with the Sahaba and the Tabi'in. So they're trying to organize it, sequence it, give it structure. So as people came along, they started to structure this. So the Sahaba, when they used to answer people's questions, it was like they were taking from this cloud of what we call the Sharia, and they were explaining things to people of what they saw. So some Sahaba knew a lot, some Sahaba knew less. Depending on how much they knew, they were answering people's questions based upon Quran, primary source, and how much ever explanation of the Quran they received from the Prophet ﷺ. As time went by, more and more people now wanted a more structured version now. Right, this cloud was difficult because the cloud was basically like in the memories. Like nowadays you have iCloud, Google Cloud, all these clouds, and they exist in hardware, in like servers around the world, computers that exist. But imagine that existed in the minds of Sahaba. Now if Sahaba die, the cloud disappears because they are the preservers of the Sunnah. So what began to happen is people after the Sahaba wanted to give it a kind of structure now. So people began to try to structure the religion. Some try to focus on fiqh and try to look at the cloud and try to give it A to Z structure of it. All the things of, let's say for example, wudu, all the things salat, all things zakat, and they try to structure it. And as time went by, these scholars became known as the jurists. And then you had those scholars who tried to focus on, let's say, another aspect like hadith. Yeah, and so they tried to preserve the hadith aspect of it. And then another group of scholars came along, they tried to preserve the aqeedah aspect of it. And then other scholars came along and they tried to preserve, let's say, character and tazkiyah, purification. So they came with different sort of like approaches, yeah, to preserve. This is the whole, and this is what deen is about. It's about following a methodology to try and understand the Sharia. So when it came to some sort of organizations, this includes, for example, like people who are staunch adherents to a particular movement, like for example Deobandi, staunch, harsh, strict Deobandi, or staunch, strict Brelwi, or staunch, strict other movements around the world, because there's many. Then the thing we have to remember is you're always going to get some people who are going to believe that this particular interpretation is the ultimate interpretation, and you have to follow this interpretation 100%. And you get this in a lot of places. So people who say that you have to follow the Deobandi interpretation of, then first of all, what is a Deobandi? Yeah, this is a whole disputable issue. Yeah, so there's not one definition of what Deobandi is. Deobandi simply means a person who has studied in a place which was based upon the syllabus that was adopted in Deoband. That's what it is. Like Oxford University, Cambridge University. If someone studies at Oxford and you were to call him an Oxfordy or a Cambridgey, that's it. It's simply something like that. It's not that in Deoband they have a specific version of Islam. It's not that they have a specific version of Islam, because that doesn't really kind of make sort of like sense. So anyway, I don't really agree with this. I don't agree with this, that anyone who doesn't follow the Akabirin of Deoband are not on the right path. And no, anyone who wants to follow any path, as long as the path has been adopted by people and it's something that is provable, demonstrable, then alhamdulillah, if it's part of something that can be demonstrated in our Islamic history, then yes, why not follow it? I think people living in the West now, now with clashing of communities now, so you get some people who like now in the those who affiliate themselves with Deoband, you have some who are very, very harsh and strict, and then you have some on the other side who are actually, leaving this tag or this title Deoband, and tired of it and adopting something else, like maybe a Syrian title or a Turkish title, or Egyptian, rather than having this title. So it's, unfortunately, it's just people just fighting over these names and all that. The main thing is, look, Deen of Allah, yeah, do as much khidmah of the Deen as you can, learn as much as you can, and follow a structured methodology. That's the main thing. Okay. Will everyone, from my teachers, I studied in Banoi town in Karachi, and my teachers, many of them studied, after they studied in madrasa, they studied in Saudi Arabia, they studied in Egypt, they studied in Syria. They had so much respect for the scholars over there. None of them, I hardly know any teacher in my madrasa who was like so harsh and strict. When I came to the UK, I think that's the only time I actually saw how strict some people became. Okay, will everyone only speak Arabic in Jannah, or will they be able to masters and speak in it? There's nothing categorical of what language is going to be spoken in Jannah. There's some narrations that say that language of Jannah is Arabic, but even if that narration is sahih or it's acceptable, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the Arabic that we speak. It could just be like Arabic means a strong language, something that's very strong. So we don't know how we're going to communicate. Is it going to be a verbal communication? Is it going to be something which is like telepathic communication? What kind of communication is it going to be? We don't know. Okay, looks like someone's into Jannah. Will you be able to choose and change skin color, appearance, etc. in Jannah? I don't know. The Quran doesn't mention it. Yeah, there's no like strong narrations that mention this. A lot of these narrations that you get and people give talks and they mention, like Muhammad Jamil mentions this in his talks or others. A lot of these narrations are weak narrations, but they're there for virtuous purpose to that kind of like motivate people to strive for Jannah. So I don't know. Maybe I don't even know how Jannah is going to look. I don't know what the people of Jannah are gonna be like. When the Quran mentions the dialogue between those in Jannah and those in Jahannam, how will this take place? Yeah, so I mentioned earlier. Are women's name Parda? If so, how do we know the names of? I don't understand. Are women's name Parda? Like, are you trying to say that? Are you allowed to say a woman's name in front of your friends? Is that what you're saying? Like, can you say your mum's name or your wife's name or your daughter's name in front of your friends? Is that what you're saying? These kind of things I think some communities are very conservative about their women. Like, super conservative. Like, they go over the top. They won't even say the husband's name. And the husband probably won't even say the wife's name. They'll just call each other like, I don't know, sounds or, something else. And, they're just very conservative. What can we do? So, women's names are not parda. Don't know why. Yes, some communities, for example, they might have a habit of using, for example, like a sort of a nickname. Yeah, like Arabs do. So-and-so, Abu so-and-so. You don't have to have those. But yeah, like, in this society, people openly will say people's names. So-and-so says this, Fulan said this. Yeah, so I can't see how names are parda. The only thing that's parda is the physical body. Physical body is parda. You can't show or describe physical body. Okay, what is the Dabbatul Ard, beast? So the Dabbatul Ard, the Quran mentions تخرج دابة من الأرض تكلم الناس, that there's going to be this beast in the end of time that's going to come out from the earth. And what is this? We don't exactly know what this is going to be. Is it going to be like a creature, small creature, large creature? Could it be some sort, I don't know, some sort of person, human? Dabbatul Ard, tukallimu, speak to people. Will it speak to people verbally? Will it have some code on there or written on it? Will it I don't know. So we don't know the exact details of it. Again, these kind of things are similar to the eschatological sort of like issues, which are, we don't know 100%, we don't know the details of this. It's all speculation. So even the narrations regarding this are not at the highest level. So we know that there will be a dabatul ard, something that's going to come out from the ground near the end of time, but we don't know the full details of it. Amir Saab said that it's impermissible to eat in the masjid until i'tikaf dua is recited. Is this correct? Not necessarily. I mean, see, according to Hanafis, the Hanafis say a person who's in i'tikaf is allowed has to eat and drink in the masjid. They can't go out. Yeah. So I think based upon that, and also that, you know, the Hanafis say that if there's no need, it's disliked for a person for no reason to eat in the masjid. So if there's no need, why are you eating in the masjid for? Because eating is going to cause food to fall on the floor, etc. Yeah. So this is and the Shafis, I think they say that, you know, as long as, you know, you make sure that no bits are going to be dropped on the floor, etc. So make niyat of i'tikaf. I don't know why you have to make niyat of i'tikaf. Yeah. Because yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. Can women cut their hair, and how much can it be cut? Is in a conservative family, this seems to be seen as a major sin. Yeah, so this is again, there's two Hanafi positions regarding this I mentioned before. One is the Hanafi position, which is that women cannot cut their hair, they can just trim it. This is not from the early Hanafis at all. This is actually from late Hanafis. So early Hanafis have no discussion on this. Seems to be later Hanafis have come out with this opinion, like Al-Bazzazi, Fatawa Al-Bazzaziyah, and other Hanafis like the Syrian Hanafis, Arab subcontinent ones. Their opinion is they can cut their hair all the way up till their ears. Yeah, so like this, keep it up to here, as long as it doesn't resemble men's haircut, basically. Yeah, so there's two Hanafi positions on this. Do you know who Maulana Habil Makda from Ba'li is? No, I don't know. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. I have a quick question. I work as a doctor, and part of that includes certifying death and completing death certificates. Some of those patients get cremated, and we also have to complete cremation forms. If the said patient then does get cremated, the funeral office gives the doctor a cut of the price made for the cremation for completing the form. My question was whether we're allowed to accept this money. Also, just a side note, obviously this is something that as a junior doctor you also can't refrain from doing, because you may be the best person who knows the patient, etc. So in terms of refraining from doing it, I wouldn't really know how this would be plausible. See, this kind of issue, again, according to Hanafi, it goes into the issue of what we say. This is goes into the issue of like how much are you responsible for a particular person doing something wrong. So let's say there's a guy, he stabs someone, and in the chain of events, you're the guy who actually dug the metal out that was used to make the knife that stabbed the guy. So are you sinful? Or if not you, then the guy who smelted the iron or the metal from the ore, is he responsible? And then if it's not him, then is it the person who made it into the shape of a knife? Is him? Or is it the wholesaler who sells the knives? Or is it the shopkeeper who sells the knife? Or is it the guy who purchased the knife? Or is it the guy who's so at which exact point? So this is one of those kind of questions. Now, the rule, basically, according to Hanafis, the rule is that a sin that can be performed with that particular thing, if a sin can be performed with that particular thing, if that sin is directly connected, then, like for example, like alcohol. So alcohol itself, sin can be performed with the alcohol itself, as in drinking it and getting drunk. Then the person will not be allowed. So if it's a direct connection, like for example, you're selling knives, and you know this guy is going to stab someone. There's a guy down the road, he's going to go stab. He's saying to you, give me the knife, I'm going to buy it off you, only stab that guy. Then you're going to be sinful for selling it to him. So that would be a sinful trade. So here, going back to this, so the doctor has to sign a document to say whether the patient or the deceased can be cremated or not. So this seems to be something which is going to go through anyway, irrespective of which doctor signs it off. So the signing off is not really kind of cremating him. The signing off is just to sort of allow this to go through. And what you just mentioned, which is that if there is you can't really refrain from it as well without justification, then I would say there's permissibility for it. Yeah, permissibility. As for the the earning is not really from the cremation. The earning is simply from doing your job, which is a service, which is to sign a document. So based on that, the earning would be allowed. And if you do feel like doubt in these kind of things, you can always give the earning in charity. If you feel doubt inside and you think, you know what, it's £10, £20, £50, whatever, then I'll give it in charity. That's fine. Wallah, Allah knows best. Will the people of Jannah be shown the Ahlun Nar being punished? Yeah, I mentioned the ayah. If there is no sadness in Jannah, why will the people of Jannah still have sense of remorse in relation to their bad actions, futile time during their time in the world? If there is no sadness. Yeah, so as in, again, this is again to do with something which is to do with Jannah. So the realities of Jannah, we don't know exactly how the realities of Jannah are going to work. So if there is no sadness in Jannah, so in other words, the sadness, the remorse is not going to be of something you're going to lose in Jannah. There's going to be no sadness in Jannah, meaning there's going to be no fear of losing anything in Jannah. Yeah, there's going to be the only remorse that there will be in Jannah is, they say, is going to be like how much you could have done. Like thinking to yourself how far you could have got. That's the only thing. Will everyone be enlarged to the size of Adam alayhi salam? Again, all these narrations that talk about Jannah, these are all to try and explain things to people in ways that they can understand. Now, what does it mean that everyone's going to be enlarged to Adam alayhi salam's height? Why is everyone going to be enlarged to Adam alayhi salam's height? Does that mean now that houses are going to be very small? Does that mean that animals are going to be tiny and people are going to be giants? So even the hadith regarding, this narration is actually a problematic narration itself in its authenticity. And Adam alayhi salam's height, the hadith regarding it itself, scholars have discussed this, and I mentioned this many times before, that some scholars they say that the hadith is not from the Prophet ﷺ, it's actually from Semitic texts. Okay, so can you explain who the yatufu alayhim wildan mukhalladun are? So in the Quran, Allah mentions that in Jannah they are going to be wildanun, youth, young people, children, you can say, mukhalladun, who are going to be eternal. Now, what does this exactly mean again? We don't know. Honestly, we don't know. And the narrations that we have regarding these are going to be young children who are going to be going around and they're going to be serving, food, just like you have, like if you go to an event and you have waiters going around serving people, giving them refreshments, and they're going to be like this. So we don't know exactly how they're going to be, whether what their nature is going to be. Are they going to be human? Yeah, but we don't even know if human, like if Jannah is going to have humans in there. Are the people living in Jannah are going to be called human anymore? What are they going to be called? So we don't know the details of this. We don't know exactly how it's going to be. Is it going to be some sort of like we have, AI technology? Is it going to be something like that, similar to that? Is it going to be of a different race of creation? What kind of thing is it going to be? And this was explained to Arabs in them days because this was considered to be like a delightful thing, like to have children in your home running around, and when you have like guests and they would come and then they would giving people things, right? This is something which generally in like Asian subcontinent, and I'm sure it's in many other places, Arab countries as well, this is considered to be something which is like a cheerful thing, that you have children running around the house and they come and they serve the guests and they help out. And I remember when I used to study with my teacher, Sheikh Thaqib, every time I used to go to his house, his children would come, they would meet me, they would give me anything I wanted, and they would sit with me. They're little kids, between the ages of 2 to about 6, 7, and we used to be studying and they used to be sitting with us and jumping on the sofas and things. Okay. How far do you go with istibra, as some kitabs have? I think I mentioned this before. Yeah, so istibra, you simply just cough, or you just have to do it 3 times and that's it. Yeah, sprinkle water and carry on. At what age should kids be removed from their parents' bedroom? It's all to do with, again, whatever the norm is. Yeah, the hadith mentions about being in the same bed. So being in the same bed, they should be separated. But from the same room, you can stay in the same room as long as they like. Yeah, so it's all to do with, the urf convention. I mean, these are not really fiqh kind of questions. These are more like just people are asking, thinking that there's some sort of Islamic sort of ruling attached to it. So the Islamic ruling is regarding beds. So if they're in the same bed, they should be removed from their siblings, should be removed from the beds when they reach the age of 9. Is there a difference of opinion regarding the aura of a man in relation to his knees? Do some say that the knees are not? Yes. So Shafi'is say the knees are not part of the aura, so they can be shown. And the Hanafis say that the knees are part of the aura and the knees should be covered up. Does a female need to observe parda in front of her husband's paternal and maternal uncles? Yes. Yeah, they would be considered to be non-mahram. Was Hazrat Ali born inside the Kaaba? Allah knows. I've never found authentic narration for that. How do you read your janazah salah as a latecomer and have missed a few takbeers? So if you come late to janazah, all you have to do is stand there. When the imam gives salam, you just make up the number of takbeers that you've missed. So let's say you joined in the third takbeer. Yeah, so you've missed 2 basically. So third, fourth you've got. When imam gives salam, then you just say Allahu Akbar, Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum. So whenever you join, you just make sure you remember how many takbeers you've missed. And then when the imam gives salam, don't give salam. Just say the takbeers that you've missed and give salam. Will there be Quran recitation in Jannah? So this Jannah person, I don't know who's asking this Jannah questions. Maybe there will be some narrations do mention something like that. Inshallah. Neo-Deobandis whole opinion, such as anyone who cuts the beard less than a fistful is sins for 24 hours a day. Where did they get this opinion from? I don't know. Wallahu alam. No idea. Are the consequences of sins whilst in Makkah greater than sinning elsewhere in the world? Possibly. Yeah, possibly. We don't 100% know, but they possibly can be because, sins in a particular sort of like holy place or sacred place are considered to be worse. So it's possible. Maybe not all sins, but a person should be more observant. This is why, like, you have narrations, you have narrations where the Prophet ﷺ has even said things like, you can't touch the pigeons of Makkah, you can't break a tree of Makkah, and etc. So you can't say there are all sins, but yeah, there may be there should be an elevated level of awareness of a person in Makkah. Allah knows best. What are the boundaries of Makkah, as Makkah's the city has expanded greatly over the years? I don't know, you'll have to check that out. You can Google it, find out. How do we deal with authors on opinions, i.e. their own opinions mentioned by authors of Fazaili Amal and Bashti Zewar, and how strictly loosely do we need to consider their opinions? See, these kind of authors' opinions are like the opinions of any scholar, right? So you don't have to take them seriously. You don't have to you don't have to follow them if you don't want. But the thing is whose opinion are you going to follow at the end of the day? So what you need to do is you need to follow the opinions of someone who you trust and has knowledge. Yes, someone who you trust has knowledge. You should follow their opinions. But you don't have to follow. Besides the Quran, besides the Prophet ﷺ, we don't have to follow anyone else. Yeah, we need to follow someone who understands the Quran and Sunnah. But who's that person that you're going to follow who understands the Quran and Sunnah? So maybe some of you are going to follow what I say. Maybe some of you are going to follow what another scholar says. But you are going to be questioned of how much due diligence did you do when you were investigating who you're going to follow. Can we pray witr in the Haramain behind the Imam? A strict Neo-Deobandi rule is that you can only read it as a nafal and so I wouldn't say a strict Neo-Deobandi. You keep saying strict Neo-Deobandi. It's like Neo also, or I think already means strict. So you are, doing double emphasis there. It's a Hanafi opinion. So there's several Hanafi opinions regarding praying behind other madhabs. This is a well-known historical issue, which was roughly in the 700s, 800s Hijri, and some of them were very strict regarding, because the argument was The argument was that basically what happens is that when you're praying salat behind someone, then if they don't follow the same fard as you, if they don't follow the same rules of salat as you, like they have ikhtilaf in certain things, then how can your salat be valid in such a case? So this is why you had this argument. However, people like Shah Walillah rahimahullah, Sheikh Anwar Shah Kashmiri, Sheikh Yusuf Banori, many of my teachers, they said, look, that Sahaba prayed behind one another, they had ikhtilaf in their salat, but they didn't see as enough to do ikhtilaf with one another. So, khalas, you can pray behind them. I pray behind them. When I go to Masjid Al-Aqsa, I pray witr behind them. It's fine. And this is also attributed to Imam Al-Jassas as well. That's one of the earliest persons in Hanafi Madhab was talked about the witr issue. Okay, can salat be read on a surface such as a mattress or padded musalla? Yes, it can be. Yeah, it can be. I mean, I know what someone's like kind of indicating towards, like some of the Hanafi books mention you can't pray on something where your head will not rest. So what they mean is like you're praying, let's say on like sand that keeps going down, it's not stopping. Yeah, but if the sand goes down and stops at one place, it's like a mattress. If the mattress, you pray on a mattress and your head stops at one place, the whole point is your head stopping at sajda. So the padded matting is fine. Will civilization, technology, infrastructure collapse at the end of time, and will battles be fought with swords and spears? I don't know. We'll find out. Will Istanbul play a central role in the end of times? I don't know. Is there a hadith that states every single illness on this earth has a cure? Yes, there is. Can ailments, illnesses such as cancer, blindness, chronic disease, baldness be cured by dua only? Maybe Allah can, we believe Allah can change anything. But, it's not the way the Prophet ﷺ would do things. It's not the way that Allah has taught us. Allah has always taught us to take the means. So a person can do this, but this is not the way Allah does things. It's not the way the Prophet ﷺ does it. Can a Muslim believe that cancer doesn't exist? If they don't want to believe gravity doesn't exist, if they don't want to believe the sun doesn't exist, it's up to them. Yeah, they don't have to believe it. But the thing is, then they'll have to believe something else in place of it. Can we chuck hair nails after trimming, chopping them instead in the bin? Yes, you can chuck them in the bin. Yeah. I mean, see, the narration regarding Ibn Umar, he used to cut his nails and his hair and put them bury them in the earth. It doesn't mean that all the Sahaba done this and everyone has to do this. That was the way that they used to dispose of their filth. Normally the rest of the filth, they used to drop it in like a filthy place. Our bins go to a relatively clean place. So as long as you throw in the bin, your bin's gonna go in, some dump site. It's fine. Can Vicks, Albus oil, Zumbak, Tiger Balm be inhaled whilst fasting? Yes. Can you sell an item on eBay with a disclaimer no returns? Yes. Can item be sold on eBay as listed as untested even if you know it has you can sell it, but you're going to be lying, aren't you? You can't lie in Islam. Yeah. Are the Eye of Fatima, Hamza, Blue Evil Eye, Nazar, all shirk? I don't know what they are. Can Buzurgs see things from the unseen? No, they can't. I heard that Buzurgs once visited a Qabristan in the UK and could see those who were getting azab in their qabr. You see, these kind of things are all speculation. I mean, maybe he has some sort of like feeling, maybe he's got some sort of like Wi-Fi connection. I don't know, his brain has just tapped into some Wi-Fi connections or something of the next world, and he gets some sort of like premonition or something. But it doesn't mean that he can see all these things as in visually see. Yeah, and it can't be categorical. It can't be something qat'iyat. Only Allah knows best. Yeah. And then the question would come, where does those ayats where only Allah knows? Yeah, Allah knows this and Allah knows this and Allah knows this. So these are all things which maybe someone can have some sort of like an insight into these things, but they can't be at the level where categorically 100% they know exactly what's happening in the graves and know exactly what you're doing in the toilet and they know exactly what is meant when it states that martyrs are alive. So what it means is that they are alive in their graves in a different realm. Yeah, but you just can't perceive it. So they're in a realm which you can't perceive. Yeah, this is known as barzakh. So they're in a realm and their state of living is of the highest level. Okay, Salam Mufti. Should one accept interest from banks and give it to charity, or not accept it at all? You got a choice. It's up to you. Ideally, you shouldn't accept it, but a lot of people say that, you know, by accepting and giving to charity, you're actually helping the poor, and the money is going to be given out anyway. It's not like, you know, the interest is that they're not going to give it; they are going to give it anyway to someone. Is there any basis for making kids wear loads of black eyeliner? I don't know. I mean, these kind of issues regarding nazar, there's a whole wide scope of it. So yeah, possibly. Imam Ibn Abidin talks about this as well. This idea of nazar. It is not something which is Islamically restricted, you know. So therefore, the cures can be things which other people use. Some people burn chilies. Some people have this black thread or something, or they burn and make you smell the smoke of it. And some people, yes, they do these funny things. I stay away from all these things. But I know in Pakistan and other places they used to do a lot of these things. There's no necessary basis for it, but it's like tried and tested method. So scholars say tried and tested methods are allowed as long as there's no shirk in there. Are there angels who are all around the world saving people from calamities? Yes, the Quran mentions them. Yeah, so those who are appointed by Allah Ta'ala, who, you know, there's angels everywhere. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can we write during the khutbah at the Jummah if the khatib is giving a lesson with pointers which you would like to remember? Possibly. I mean, I thought about this one. Yeah, possibly, because the whole point of the khutbah is for you to listen to the khutbah. So if you're writing, that means you are listening to it. Yeah, you listen to it. If the guy in the row in front of you leaves the salah for whatever reason, do you walk forward and whilst in salah, and is there any certain procedure? Yes. So you take one step at a time. One step, stop, and fill the gap in. When two people are praying in Jamaat together and you are waiting to join them, but they are in Qaida for the final rakat, where do you position yourself? Next to the Muqtadis or further back? Next to the Muqtadis. What does a latecomer do in Eid namaz to do if he has missed some or all of the extra rakat takbirats? He doesn't have to say them. Is there anything in Islam that discusses dementia, and are such people bichara absolved from religious obligations? Possibly, depending on what kind of dementia is. If it's a very extreme level dementia, then yeah, because they are not in a state of taklif. What is wahdatul wujud? This is a very big topic. I think I answered this before. Is sadal also a sunnah in salat? So having your hands to one side. Many tabi'in used to do it. Yeah, there are reports of many tabi'in who used to do it. We believe, majority of the four madhabs, they believe that folding the arms is the sunnah. Did the Sahaba use walking stick staffs to support during lengthy salats? Yes, in Nawafil. It's reported. You answered a question, if you could check our prospective spouse for their looks, physical beauty, how do you do this in a dignified manner? See, how do you do it in a dignified manner? It's all to do with urf bai. You don't come to me to ask these questions. You look at your society, you look at your culture, you look at, you know, the norms in your culture. Don't get, what I would say is don't get photos. They should show their daughter. I remember one guy, yeah, he goes to me, you know, yesterday I went to the house not yesterday, but this is many years ago. He goes, yeah, I went to see the girl's family, and I said, did you see her? He goes, no. They brought her brother out and said, look at him, he looks like her, or she looks like him. And I said, how dumb they are. They're so protective of their daughter. They don't want even the you know, people to look at her daughter. Look at the daughter. So he had to look at the brother, who is apparently supposed to look like the girl, and, you know, he's supposed to make a judgment on that. So that's a very silly, you know, over conservative kind of like mentality some people have. So yeah, look at them. Yeah, you should go. They should allow you to look at them, and, you know, if they like or not, then that's it. Carry on. But I wouldn't agree with photos and things, because photos, there's so much photoshopping and lighting and all these kind of things that can play a, you know, deceptive role. When a marriage meeting takes place, does a chaperone have to be present at all times when the two prospective people are talking? Not necessarily. The whole point of the chaperone is there for two purposes. One is to make them feel comfortable, and the second is so that the conversation or the meeting isn't there for wrong purpose. Yeah, keep it more professional. you can say, because they just need to ask the right questions. You don't need to kind of like go into too much, delving into too much. What are the opinions for Hanafis in Qaida at-Tahiyyat in relation to lifting the finger and keep it lifted, wiggling the finger? Early Hanafis have nothing regarding the finger. So later Hanafis have mentioned this, that you just raise the finger. I made a video of this. If you look on my YouTube channel, there should be in the Hanafi series about the raising finger. You just raise the finger and then you put it down. That's it. So how far do you put it down? There's nothing specified of how far you put it down, but there's no wiggling of the finger. Okay, all the questions are finished now, alhamdulillah. Yeah, I don't know if anyone sent any more. Actually, there are some few more questions. See, loads of you guys are asking questions now throughout the week. Can you please elaborate on all your answers? You give short answers a lot of time. Can you elaborate on all your answers? So basically, look, the honest truth is I get about 40 questions, and either I choose. So do you guys want me just to pick questions? So if you want me to pick questions, I'll pick 5 questions every week, or maybe 10 questions, and I elaborate on those if that's what you want. But then I won't be able to answer all the rest. And probably now I'm checking, I get like between 40, maybe 30 to 50 questions a week now on this. So it's up to you guys. Either I pick myself 5 to 10 questions, and then I leave the rest and I elaborate on those, or I just briefly answer everyone, because then it doesn't make sense really. It doesn't really make sense. What are the opinions for Hanafis in why do some Hanafis say birthdays is not haram? So see, the people are asking, I think, can you elaborate? What you need to do is you need to study properly. So a lot of people who like detailed answers, I think they don't study properly. So you need to study properly. You need to study. If you're very serious and you really want full answers, you need to study fiqh properly. Yeah, study fiqh properly, and you'll get all your answers. So these sessions are only here to briefly answer people's questions, not to educate you about fiqh. If you want to be educated about fiqh, you need to study fiqh. Why do some Hanafis say birthdays is not haram? Because they're not haram. That's what I say. Birthdays are not haram. Why are they haram? I mentioned this last week as well. What is the ruling of mortgage in the UK? Some justify one can come under Hajjah, and some according to Abu Hanifa. Yes, I've answered this one before as well. So if it's many of the Hanafis have said that if it's out of living, for example, it's a house that you need to live in and there's no other means, and renting is long term, it's not possible, then you're allowed to take it out of necessity. Assalamu alaikum. Considering we have to follow laws of the land and the land prohibits us from practicing polygamy, does that mean impermissible to have more than one wife? So basically the land prohibits you to have more than one British wife, as in like under the British law, so you have it registered. You can't have more than one registered wife, but you can have according to your own custom. That's fine. So you don't have to call it a legally recognized wife. Yeah, so that's fine. So you're not breaking the law. Good to see the unity between Asufa and Green Lane with Homeless Project. More masjids should unite on what we agree on. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Could you please advise not watching the Netflix series on Messiah, as many of the things are contrary to our belief? This isn't a big question. I don't understand what's. See, the question. This kind of question, I think personally, I think it's a very, you can say, very absurd. It's very absurd, and simply because it's like saying you shouldn't live in the UK, you shouldn't use YouTube, you shouldn't even use most of the things you do on mobile phone. Yeah, I think it's very. People in the past used to read fables. They used to read stories about made up gods, and people read them. Yeah, Muslims read them. People make these read these kind of books. So I don't think why you should advise people not to watch these kind of things. If you're going to advise them not to watch Hollywood and Bollywood. They're worse. I think these are the worst things that are worse. Do you know Mawlana Abdul Latif from Birmingham? I know there's several Mawlana Abdul Latifs. You got to mention which one exactly. So at work, we can buy vouchers for stores, so we would pay £95, but we are able to spend £100. Is that allowed? At work, we can buy vouchers for stores, so we would pay £95, but we are able to spend £100. Yeah, it depends exactly how it works. Yeah, so it depends how it works. So you're buying it for £95. Basically, they're giving you like £5 discount. Yeah. The question now is that can you get it cashed? So can you cash it or not? So if you get this voucher, now if I buy this £95 voucher, can I go and cash this and get £100 for it? If that's the case, no, it's not allowed. But if it's simply a token of a gift, then that should be allowed. Okay, anyway, so that's finished now. See that? 2 hours, guys. I finished all the Curious Cat questions. So this is the thing. See what happens if I have regular once a week question and answers. I'm not gonna satisfy everyone's desires. Obviously, halal desires, in answering questions. Some of you guys are gonna want more in detailed answers. Some of you guys are gonna want for me to cover as many as I can. So I won't be able to please everyone, guys. And some of them I've answered so many times, I'm just gonna skip through them. So you'd have to watch the other live stream question and answers to catch up. Okay, let's just see. Wa alaikum assalam, Qasim. Can you please shed some light on cursing of Aisha? I don't know about that. Wallahu alam. I mean, I'm not an expert in Sunni Shia politics, so you can ask someone else that. Assalamu alaikum. Quran says, Surah Al-Imran, that there are two kinds of verses in the Quran, mutashabihat and muhkamat. So how do you determine the certain verses among the muhkam and mutashabihat? So, I mean, see, we don't have to worry about this. So the mutashabihat and muhkamat, the scholars mentioned, generally means that there are some verses which are categorical in their meaning. In other words, there's no two people who will differ. And there are certain verses in the Quran, due to the nature of human language itself, is that it can be looked at in various ways. And this is where mistakes can be made in interpretation. Yeah, just like the Christians, they misinterpreted, Isa alayhi salam, many of his statements into things like Son of God, etc. So that's what it basically means, that due to the nature of language, you are going to naturally get in any language, you're going to get certain verses, certain sentences that are going to be categorical, and they've got certain that can be open to interpretation. Yeah, whether that is supposed to be interpreted or not, that's a separate thing. Anwar Patel, alaikum salam. Is it permissible to keep my eyes closed when praying salat? Yes, if you want to do it for concentration, but otherwise it's best not to. If I forget to do masa on my head when making wudu, can I do it later on? Yeah, you can do later on. Wa alaikum assalam. Sheikh Nawfal Al-Aziz. Allah yashfiq. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. What's your advice who wants to do takhasus in tafsir? Takhasus in tafsir is a good one. So takhasus in tafsir, what I would say is, look, you can only do takhasus in tafsir if you have mastered Arabic. You need to master Arabic to do takhasus in tafsir. So what do I mean? Sarf, nahu, balagha, adab literature, classical poetry, etc. Master all of those and do usul al-fiqh. On top of that, usul al-fiqh. Then after that, you go into, so do you want to do takhasus in Quran or takhasus in tafsirs? Because if you want to do takhasus in Quran, that would be a slightly different route, and takhasus in tafsir would be different. Because Quran is focusing on Quran itself. So going detailed into the Quran, looking at chapters, analyzing each chapter, like the reflections that we do, analyzing words, doing word research, like in-depth words, like I do in my summer series. Stuff like that. And then if you want to do tafsir, and tafsir would involve actually researching tafsirs, cross-referencing tafsirs, doing PhDs on tafsirs. That would be tafsir. And then for that, you'd have to read like biographies of tafsirs, tafsir mufassirun biographies, etc. Like al-tafsir al-mufassirun, or for example like at-tafsir wa rijaluhu. But yeah, definitely, I think tafsir takhassus is a very good thing. And something I'm thinking maybe in the future I might look at on my channel. Happy New Year to you as well. Every New Year, obviously. Today I was praying in the prayer room. The first saf was full and the person next to me joined, and the second saf became because someone came in. There was a gap in the first saf during the first rakat. I wasn't sure what to do. Does that make the salah valid if I moved to the second rakat? Yes, it's fine. Yep. And what about different madhabs on this? I don't know. Wallahu alam. You'll have to ask someone of different madhabs. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alaikum assalam. Yes, you can interpret dreams. Some of us who know, I answered this one before. So is it permissible to abbreviate the greetings like Assalamu alaikum? Yes, there's nothing wrong with it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Beamer. ASA, Jazak, with Jack. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just all urf of language. Yeah, in Arabic you also have something similar which you call tanheet in grammar. You have something called nahat or tanheet, where basmala, they say basmala, instead of saying bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, they just say basmala. Or they say things like hamdallah or hawqala. They have the short, they do the short in Arabic as well. Okay, you're still, I know you should rest. Yeah, I know I should. I'm tired of resting. 5 days of rest. Is it okay to get a treatment done to get a flat stomach which doesn't involve any operation? It's a process where they heat up your fat on the skin. Possibly, yeah. Yeah, possibly. So, yeah, so these kind of fuqaha have mentioned something like this. They've even mentioned things like, like a process which is similar to colonic irrigation or something like that, which involves putting medicine into the colon as well, or removing certain things from there. Wa alaikum assalam. Hazza, you mentioned that people don't enter Jannah because of their deeds and it is not a point-based system. You said it is Allah's mercy with terms interested in that. Theoretically, then someone who has more sins than good deeds could receive the mercy of Allah. What then is the purpose of doing good? Yeah, so this kind of, what we have to understand is there's a two sort of like a tier system. From the human perspective, we should do as much as we can to try to submit to Allah. So in other words, everything that we're doing in life, it's like maybe this action is the action that will show my obedience to Allah. Maybe this action. So it's not about the amount that we do, it's about getting the right one. Yeah, ayyukum ahsan amalan, Allah says in the Quran. Which one of you is the best? So you try to do whichever one is best. And sometimes you hear about dreams of the pious in the past where they say, what did Allah do with you? And they said, Allah entered me into Jannah. Allah forgave me because of this one little action I done. Yeah, you're thinking like, what about all the other actions? So this is why this idea of, collecting deeds and all of that is good. We should obviously try to, collect as much as we can, but the aim is the quality. So it's like we should always think to ourselves, maybe this stone, if I remove it from the path, the pavement, maybe this is the thing that will enter me Jannah. So it's all about that. That's the first tier. The second tier is obviously the reality. The reality of everything is that Allah is not bound by any rules. So Allah is not bound to enter people into Jannah because of how much they do. And this is against the Mu'tazila. So Mu'tazila, this is what they believed. That if you're good, Allah has to put you in Jannah. And Ahlul Sunnah said no. Allah is not bound. So through Allah's mercy. I was reading a statement of a Sahabi where they refused treatment for disease they had been sustained for something along the lines that my doctor has given me the disease. I'm confused. Aren't we encouraged to seek treatment? Yeah, we're encouraged, but it's not fard. That's the thing. So it's not fard for us to get treatment, but it's something that we should try and do. That's for medical purposes, yeah. Is it pronounced eunuchs? Eunuchs, or I don't know how you pronounce it. At work, we 95% vouchers. Yeah, I think I answered that one. There is a video of Sheikh Asrar giving running commentary on incredible footage of the location of Ya'juj Ma'juj. The video came out 2 days ago. Have you seen it? Yeah, I actually seen that one. Yeah, I've seen it. What's your favorite dry fruit? It's ridiculously expensive in Pakistan. Something are like 10,000 rupees a kilo. Yeah, dry fruit around the world, they're quite expensive. I think maybe like, I don't know, mangoes, something, dry mangoes, or dry kiwis, anything really. CBD oil and hemp oil are the same thing, yeah. Is it Islamically okay for a man and woman to hold their hands in public or give each other a quick hug? It all depends upon culture. It all depends upon culture, society, if they accept it. If it's accepted in that society, it's not considered to be something which is illicit or something which is rude. Some societies consider it to be rude. Other societies don't. Like in this society, it's fine, but maybe in certain areas of Pakistan, it'll be considered to be, disrespectful. How's Catty? Catty is good, messing around, as usual, jumping on me and running up and down. Is it allowed to say Merry Christmas? Wait till next season, bro. Yeah, or nothing. Wait for next season. I'm tired of these questions. Next Christmas, ask that question. Habib, what is alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Duauna ki yaad sate mungla. Na inshallah. Tasu munga yaad duagan ki yaad sate. MashaAllah, I like a rock cup. There is in the background. Yes, these are rock cups. So inshallah, I'm going to be putting these on the merch for the channel, inshallah. Anyone who wants to purchase them, they'll be able to purchase them, inshallah. Have you tried yakhni, aka chicken soup, for your cough? Yeah. There used to be one in Pakistan I used to drink outside our madrasa. It was a very nice one. It was a thick one. I don't know how they make it, but it's quite thick. I used to have that with lots of pepper in there and lots of sauces, hot sauces. Hazard, if you get a chance, see question 25. Yeah, I think I answered that one. If a father gives his prepubescent daughters some cash, then they won't be paying any zakat on it, right? Correct. What if later on, when they grow up, changes his mind and wants to take it back? Can he do it? I mean, if he's given them, then it's theirs. Yeah, and if they willingly give it back to him, they willingly, right? So he says he wants it back, and they willingly give it back. Then they give it back. Yeah. So as long as they give it back before zakat becomes due on it. Okay. Alaikum assalam, Muhtasim. I am trying to learn Arabic and I don't know where to start. I can read it fluently with vowels, but I can't speak Arabic, understand it without the vowels. Yeah, so basically what you need to do is you need to do Quranic Arabic 17 lessons. You need to do my Quranic Arabic 17 lessons. Yeah, and if you've got Twitter or Facebook or something, go into Roots of Knowledge and you can join a course. It's £50, and in 17 lessons, inshallah, my brother, you will learn how to understand the Quran, inshallah, or start to understand the Quran in 17 lessons, alhamdulillah. Yeah, so I've got a course for that. It's called the 17 lessons. M.I. Khan, regarding witr, isn't it wrong to compare it to Maghrib? No, actually, in fact, it's in Muwatta of Imam Malik. It's a statement of Ibn Umar that the Maghrib is the witr of the day. Yeah, I think that's in Surah Safat. Okay, it's very difficult to say. It also depends on one's hobbies and interests, and I've seen that I might think that getting a dress for 20,000 is Fuzul Kharchiba. Yeah, much isn't. My mom wouldn't say it's opposite. So yeah, definitely. So it's very difficult to kind of, so in this society, it's very difficult because it all depends upon financial status of a person and community and item as well. Obviously, books and cars and things that you need. Wa alaikum assalam, Sufyan. What's your opinion on someone choosing the easier fatwa from another school of fiqh, for example, Hanafi combining Farz Salah and traveling before? Yeah, if it's for a valid reason, if there's a valid reason for it, then it's possible, yeah. But if it's just for no reason, no. Or taking the Hanbali opinion of Masa over normal socks. Like I said, if it's for a valid reason, like if it's difficulty, then yes. Also eating seafood from those, yeah. Yeah, again, yeah, possible. Sometimes when we are struggling with a sin, we subconsciously try to do more good deeds to compensate for that. Would it be okay then that my struggling with that sin could be a sort of good? Possibly, yeah. Because the Quran does say, إن الحسنات يذهبن السيئات ويبدل الله سيئاتهم حسنات, that Allah will even switch all the bad deeds you've done and flip them over and make them all into good deeds. So Allah does that as well. Thing which I know sinning can't be, but then sometimes it makes you realize you're human and struggle with temptations. Definitely, temptations and struggles as a human thing. We're all going to go through this in life. The idea is every time you kind of like reach a peak and a trough, you try to maintain it. Yeah. So every time you try close to a sin or you commit a sin, try to go back, repent, and then try to stay as far away from it as possible. And then when you fall into it again, like that. So it's like on an elastic band, back and forth. Okay, the inflation rate is 2% and the interest rate of the bank loan is 2% as well. Would it be possible to get a loan the conventional way to buy a house, as there is an offsetting effect? So if the inflation rate is 2% and the interest rate, not really, no. It's still the same principle. In principle, it's the same thing, that you have agreed to pay interest. Yeah. CC questions never end. Why don't you do CC questions on Friday after Jummah? Allahu Akbar. I'll have to have 2 hours for that. Or maybe questions from CC, then from live stream, and you just alternate like that. Despite it being Hanafi view, Shahan Shakashmi say it's possible. What do you think of the person using the gym membership card of another? Yeah, as long as the organization is not breaching any of their rules, not lying or anything. We recently learned in Kuduri that one person who rents a house can let others live in the house, despite not asking the owner about it. Is it allowed for one to visit a gym on one's membership card? Again, it's all to do with the breach of, are you breaching the rules of the organization? So is it written in the contract that you sign that no one else can use this card or not? Assalamu alaikum Omar. Assalam. If Iran and US go to war, then this will further give evidence coming of Dajjal, as in many narrations the most likely coming somewhere after. Allahu alam. Allahu alam. I don't know. No, please do it in order. Okay, the question's short and sweet is good. Please answer my questions about gym membership. Okay, with this ab, you're too kind. Be like some of the Jamia Ashrafi of these. They answer the questions to the point. Before you can say anything, they slam the phone down. Yeah, maybe I could do that. What laptop would you recommend for Muslims? What laptop? Yeah, I'll tell you what to get. You know what to get? Get yourself a MacBook 16-inch 2019. Yeah, get that, trust me. Yeah, full specs, yeah. That's the best one to get. That's the Muslim one, that is, yeah. Muslim laptop. Republic of Gamers, ASUS. Yeah, watch Lollywood. If there are some newspapers that has many Arabic words, Allah's names on there, and you want to get rid of them, would it be sinful if you put them in the bin or burn it? No, it won't be sinful. Yeah, as long as it's not ayats of the Quran or anything. Brothers, I am posting with these videos in short from my channel. If please subscribe. What is Jim in Arabic? Jim or Sheen? Huh? What is Jim in Arabic? Don't understand. Arabic doesn't have, but the Arabs use. Okay, I can't remember. Arabic equivalent for Urdu. Can you explain why music is haram? Okay, can you see? This is a whole big topic. I mean, very good question. This whole issue of music, the hurmat of music, is it haram, or are there certain types of music that are haram and not haram? Like, this is a whole big topic in itself. Yeah, and maybe it might be a good idea for me to make a video, because for example, like we have a mobile phone and it has a ring, isn't that music? Or you have a doorbell, someone rings it, isn't that music? Or you put the radio on and there's some sounds in there, isn't that music? So what is exactly music? Or you listen to someone reading Quran and it goes through a mic and speakers, and isn't it causing like a musical effect? So this whole idea of music is something which there's two extremes in this, I think. There's one extreme that has made every single thing haram, and there's one extreme in this that has made every single thing totally halal, right? And there's a balance in between. And the khulasa, the summary, the gist of it is is that you know, music which contains anything which is filthy, yeah, anything which is vile and you know, illicit, is totally impermissible. And music which is sounding, which is, you know, like we hear pop music and all these kind of things, this is something which is, again, I would say below that, very questionable. And then that kind of music which is there for background purposes, yeah, so like in advertisements you might have, or things like that, or even in your phone or whatever, if it's to give a certain purpose, yeah, then there's scope for that. There may be permissibility there, according to some scholars. Some Hanafis have given permissibility. So this is why this whole idea of music and you know, singing, it's a very detailed topic. There's actually you know, some scholars that have actually written on this, yeah. But like I said, you're gonna find some scholars who are writing on this and make everything haram, some scholars who write on this and say everything is okay, and then you'll have in between, yeah. So this is a very detailed topic, and yeah, so I think I'll have to dedicate a whole, maybe, I don't know, to this one. Is Jim okay? Fatima, alaikum assalam. Are shares allowed in a Asda company? Yeah, they should be allowed in that. I mean, I haven't checked what the Asda company invests in, but yeah, they should be. Nice cup, mate. Thank you very much. Can you briefly explain Mu'tazila beliefs? No, I can't. Because you can't mention them briefly. There's quite a lot of beliefs that they have. Can a man miss janaza if he's abroad and he's one of his parents? Can a man miss a janaza if he's abroad? Yes, he can miss it. It's not far to do the janaza. Assalamu alaikum, Saji. Do you need to say what you are reading in prayer, or is it okay just to go over what you should read in your mind? You should at least make your tongue move. Yeah, recite it in your mouth. Arabic Hafiz. If time is short, is there an opinion, the Hanafi madhab, that one can do tayammum and pray? According to Imam Zufar. Yeah, Zufar's opinion. Did you mark all the exam papers? Yes. Does seminal fluid break fast? If a person, depends how it came out. Can you link that gym membership question to Ijara chapter of Quduri? So basically the gym membership is not necessarily a kind of Ijara. I mean, I'm just thinking exactly, you gotta look at the terms and conditions, but it depends exactly how they've termed it. It can be an Ijara, and then in that case it would have to be an Ijara of specific things, or it can just be an Ibaha, a form of Ibaha. Ibaha would mean that they give you a permit, just like you go to a buffet and you pay a certain amount and then you can eat whatever you like, so you are permitted Ibaha. It's like a permission, yeah, for that. So it really depends on the wording. So it could be Ijara, it could be Ibaha. Pro or A? Pro, definitely pro, especially on the editing. I've got an A as well, but Pro is the best. I'm gonna get a Pro, inshallah. But I've got a Mac that I use for my editing. But it's not like the best for editing. But inshallah, one day what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a whole tutorial on all my setup, what I use. Apologize for being vague, Mufti Sahab. In regards to Hanafi eating all forms of seafood, is it just to taste and try, and this would not be classed as a valid reason? So haram, makruh. See, again, when it comes to these food issues, I personally believe that, look, whatever the culture eats of seafood, that is, because the Shafis and Malikis and others have so much scope in allowing it, I would say you can eat it. So if you go to a restaurant, for example, like with your Maliki friends or Shafi friends in Malaysia, Indonesia, these kind of places, you're most likely going to get seafood, right? So I would say it's permissible. there's nothing categorical from the early Hanafis to say that the other things are totally impermissible. Is it leasing a car permissible? Isn't it the same as renting? Yeah, leasing a car is permissible. Yeah, it's renting. It's allowed. What is chai in Arabic? That's why they need to. Oh right, the letter. I can't read the Arabic. Arabic's too small here. Oh, in Arabic, I don't know. I mean, Arab they actually do say cha. Yeah, but sha. I think they'll use sheen. Is it permissible leasing a car? Is permissible? Yes. Salam. Is it true Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, Adam alayhi salam are buried next to Hazrat Ali salam? First of all, we don't know where Ali radiallahu anhu is buried. Yeah, there's nothing categorical. They assume he's buried in Najaf or in somewhere in Egypt, but we don't know. May Allah grant you full shifa. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Does witr need to be read in 3 rakat? According to Hanafis, yes. The reason I'm asking about the prophets buried next to Hazrat Ali is because it's true where prophets are born, so they're buried, which is a sign of prophet. So basically, we only know where one prophet is buried, and that is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No other prophet do we categorically know where they're buried at all. None. Yeah, so we don't know where. Okay, so all the questions are finished now, alhamdulillah. Regarding my previous question about shares with Asda, they invest in supermarket goods but they sell alcohol and haram food. So which shares? Yes, shares be allowed because the amount that they invest, the alcohol is minuscule compared to all the other halal products they sell. The halal bread that they sell, the halal milk that they sell, and the halal what else? Yeah, so it'd be allowed. Okay, so alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair, so for all answering all your questions promptly. May Allah accept your efforts. Very much appreciated for answering questions. I prefer the current method. Jazakallah khair, alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, guys. So yeah, I was ill this week. Monday, knocked out. I had so many things planned to do this week, but qadar Allah, Allah's taqdeer. This is something that we believe in. So we try to do our best. We try to do everything that we can, but then just sometimes things happen in life, and we just have to accept that Allah is in control of everything. So we plan, but Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. So this illness maybe had some benefit in there. I don't know. 5 days I wasn't able to do anything at all. My YouTube channel, I wasn't really able to go out anywhere. But alhamdulillah, there's going to be some benefit in there. And the Prophet ﷺ said that anyone who's afflicted with a calamity and they say this dua, they say, "Oh Allah, I seek reward in this calamity that you've given me. Oh Allah, replace it with something better." Whoever says this, Allah will give them, because of that calamity, Allah will give them in their life something much better than that. So, this is the dua that we recite. What's the best advice for exams? From your experience, have good sleep. I used to have top sleep next time exams. I used to get nice sleep, and I wasn't really too fussed about getting top marks. I'm not too much into getting top marks. I just used to do as much as I could. Yeah, prepare way before in the year, have a nice sleep, and that's it. Okay, mashallah, really. Jazakallah khair. Last question, please. Where is the mountain where Allah SWT spoke to Musa alayhi salam? We don't know exactly. They say the Mount Tur, but we don't know exactly where that's located. Is it located in Sinai, Egypt? Is it located somewhere else? We don't 100% know. Chaudhry. Okay, Sheikh. Try fresh juice, ginger and honey and orange. Okay. Fresh juice, ginger, honey and orange. Yeah, I'll try that inshallah tomorrow. Jazakallah khair for the tips. Awesome service. Allah AQM. Thank you very much. So basically, I don't know what the illness was. It was some crazy illness. Took my body over. Yeah, nighttime I used to get shivers, fever, and then daytime I thought I was getting better, and then all of a sudden overtake me with these shivers throughout my body, and then wasn't able to sit properly, lie down, sometimes sit down, and then coughing, sore throat, then runny nose. I don't know what it was. So, some say it was norovirus, some say it was Aussie virus, Aussie flu. And me, I don't go to my doctor. I don't like my doctor, first of all. Yeah, I think it's the worst doctor ever. Which I think, unfortunately, most doctors I think are very GPs, doctors, GPs. I think are not very nice. But maybe I'm wrong. But I've had bad experiences with them. So I've probably been to my doctor in the last decade, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times. Alhamdulillah, I've saved the NHS money. Okay, did you watch the fireworks on New Year's Day? Yes, I did. Actually, no, I didn't. I listened to them. Yeah, who's gonna stand in the window? When we were kids, we used to do that. Yeah, we don't do that now. When you're 37 years old, you don't stand in windows and go outside to watch people just light small little things that make lights in the sky. You can put YouTube on and watch it there. Allahumma ajirni fi musibati wa khatni khair. Ameen. Okay, I will subscribe to your channel, Sheikh. You're welcome. You're welcome. Who's new today? Who has come new? Yeah, give a shout to anyone who's come new. Who's new to this session. Okay. Chaudhry. Which one is more correct? I don't know. Allah knows best. On the day of judgment, you can ask the Arabs which one is better. Chaudhry. Honey, ginger, lemon, water should be good. Inshallah. I'm gonna try that. Sounds like a fever. Man flu. Yep. Man flu. Asad Sabit. MashaAllah. I think I talked about doctors too much there. Oh no, it's all doctors, yeah. A lot of them. Let me change my tablespoon of olive oil first thing in the morning and last thing at night should help with swelling in throat. Olive oil. Yeah, I'll try that. MashaAllah, everyone's here coming with some top remedies. A bit late now. Swelling in throat, yeah. So a tablespoon of olive oil first thing in the morning. Okay, I'll try that. Have hot water instead of cold water. Hot, you mean warm water, yeah? Take apple cider vinegar. Will sort everything out. I think if I take everything you guys have mentioned, I'll be sorted out. Yeah, there'll be no more question answers. You'll be coming to my cupboard for question answers. Change your GP then, but you need to go to a doctor when you're unwell. Yeah, I don't get time to change GP, man. Me, but I'm old. I met the London fireworks online. Oh, the London fireworks? I don't know. I'm not into that kind of stuff, man. When I was a kid, they used to ask me then. Shout, I am new Sheikh for the shout. Ahmad Ali, mashallah. There's so many Ahmad Alis I know. Is there a narration about black seed? Yes, there is. Black seed. But the problem with black seed is, you see, you know when I was in Pakistan, I'll tell you what happened. I was ill once, yeah. Very bad. It's probably worse than what I had this week. And I didn't go class for a whole, about 1.5 weeks. And I heard the narration that, you know, black seed is the cure for all illnesses except death. So you know what I done? I used to eat black seeds and black seed oil to drink it. Tastes mad. And then I found that I was actually getting weaker. I was getting worse. So then someone told me that the hadith doesn't mean you just put black seeds in your mouth. There's actually a method of using it. So the Prophet ﷺ was telling people to use black seed, but in their days there was like a way of using it. And the hadith doesn't mention the way of using it. So anyone who reads the hadith just simply thinks that they just take black seeds, put it in their mouth, you know, a few of them, or the oil, and drinks it, and they'll get better. That's not the case. Actually, it can be harmful to you. So I said, a bit late now. I've been taking these for the past, so many days. And I stopped taking them and I got better. Sheikh, where are you? Are you in UK? I'm messaging from Toronto, Canada. Yes, I'm from UK, Birmingham. Yeah, Birmingham. Is Zulfa Sunnah Ada? Yes. Join us so far for a course. MashaAllah. Welcome. How did you find the course? Was it good? Okay, so I'm gonna finish in a bit now. So Jazakallah khair, guys, for all of you guys attending. MashaAllah, as usual. You guys have boosted my spirit, and the man flu or the virus that's inside of me has seen you guys and has become very scared of you guys. I can tell my body is now getting much better now, yeah, alhamdulillah, and I'm sure this virus will never attempt to try and sabotage my body again and overtake me, with your du'as, inshallah. So anyway, jazakumullah khair, and take care, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.